Hi, welcome to this web lesson. My name's Phil Williams. We're going to have a look at some slap bass stuff now. Probably one of the most asked for lessons within bass because it's quite an action-packed kind of style of bass playing. What I'll look at is basically how to get a sound out of the instrument, how to get it to sound right, how to approach slap. There's a couple of different angles to take. I'll show you my approach and give you a few of the other options as well. But one of the real fundamental principles of bass playing, slap bass playing, is to have a good solid sense of time. Now that arrives over the years, okay, with a lot of playing with drummers and the usual stuff that goes on. But for the minute, with this lesson, it will be useful to have a drum machine. I mean, it's all about rhythm. It's all about, good time. So having a drum machine is I would say, is a really good step in the right direction to getting your slapping together quickly. I've got one here. I'll demonstrate a few little bits of slapping. I'll do a bit of playing, and then we'll have a look at what's going on. What I will start with, this particular bit of slap bass I did here, I did actually detune my bass down to a D. So at the bottom, instead of an E at the bottom, I have an E, a D rather. Now, for me, that kind of just makes for a heavier sound. It kind of works with slap bass. So it's just got a different sound. If I bring it back up to E, still sounds as good, but my preferable key for slap at the moment is D. Let's start with the proper tuning for the minute. We'll have an E at the bottom. What I want to do is get through some basic slap principles with you. The noises that we make, in very simple terms, the noises that we make are, we've got a hit note, we've got a dead note, which is where I'm damping the strings with this hand and just hitting with the thumb, so you actually get that noise. Now my hit note needs to be stopped with this hand as soon as it's been hit, so we get this. Also, dead note can happen at any point on any string. Then we've got a hammered note, which is where we're going from one note to another as a hammer. So that's another sound. So, okay, then we've got a pulled note or a slapped note, which is me just getting underneath the string with this finger and pulling it hard, and then stopping it immediately here. So we get a very short, sharp note. Then we've got a hammered note on the fretboard. And where with this hand, I tend to hit the fretboard around about where the last fret is. Certain amount of accuracy involved with this. The other side of this hammered note is that once I've hit it again, I stop it immediately by lifting this finger off. And then these hands damp. Now, if you can get used to a few of these sounds, so get the slap sounding right, i.e. your pulled notes, get them sounding like this. Your hit notes sounding like this. and your hammered and hit notes. As I say, there's a certain amount of accuracy involved in it. I miss every now and again, but... And your open notes here. Putting all of these kind of sounds together with the dead notes, you end up with something that you can build rhythms with. Now, Mark King is one of the guys who does the kind of more rhythmic bass playing stuff really well. So if you're really interested in that area of bass playing, it's worth checking his stuff out. And there is a Lick Library album, a Lick Library DVD covering the Mark King technique. So have a look at that one if you get the chance. With a lot of this kind of hammering and thumping technique, it involves this hand a huge amount. For instance, if we were going to play triplets with this hand, I'm using this hand to make kind of the alternate noise of the triplet. So my triplet is broken up into this. So we got bar, hit note, stop note, dead note. And then I end up putting a top note on as a slap. And when it's played fast, when you get it past a point, it'll sound like a triplet. Right, let's have a look at playing some stuff with the drum machine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play a riff with this drum groove. I'll play it first, then we'll break it down, see what I'm playing, and then we'll start the drum machine again. I'll play the bass riff, and you guys play along with me at home. So let's have a listen to how the bass riff goes. What I'll do with this bass line is show you it very slowly. All we're looking at here is just the thumb side of things. We're not putting any slaps in at the moment, or either any pulls. It's all just hammering, which kind of gets together your muting technique on this hand. And this is the bass riff slowly. So what we're doing here is this. That's the first phrase, so it's hit, stop, hit. So as I hit the note, I stop it with this hand and bring this thumb down on top of it. So we get bar. Okay, so that's one note and effectively two dead notes. At the end of it, I want one more open note. So we get that. So that's the first half of it, just using open strings in both these hands. At the end of it, I want another dead note, and then we hit this hammer on. So we get this. And then we just repeat the whole thing. So that's it. So what we'll do now is I'll play this section with the drum machine and you guys play along with me. Okay, here we go. Okay, that's a bit fast. So what I'll do is I'll do a version of it slightly slower for you. But believe me, just to get this technique together, one of the best ways is just to play it along, because the music pushes you along. You slowly get together with this technique. It might feel a little bit alien to you to start with. So, keep trying and keep pushing yourself with this. Okay, let's play that slightly slower for you. Here we go. Okay, you may find that it's harder to play it slower. It depends. Sometimes when you start slowing these slap things down, they become a little bit more complex. So if you can get in on tempo, the main thing is a discipline of just keeping that rolling along. So eventually, maybe without the drum machine. You can feel the pulse running through it. But a good way to start is to have that metronomic drum machine in the background. With this bass riff, adding some other bits make it a bit more interesting. So what I'm doing really is just adding slaps in place of maybe a hammer on here. Often with any of this stuff, I could get through a lot of this by saying this is the fill you should play in here. Or this, but what you'll find is once you get to grips with this, you'll start maybe working out where your own fills should occur. Initially, try and keep stuff fairly simple just to start with. Put a little slap or a pull in here or there. The main idea with this whole thing is just to get your thumb rolling along, a la kind of Mark King style. And get this right and left hand working together. A lot of other slap stuff I find that's very, very useful, as I say, is to do the D tune. If we're working on this principle that with an open E, everything kind of works across this point from the 5th to the 7th in a kind of caged block section on the bass. Kind of works there for this slap thing. If I tune my E string down to a D, yeah, I effectively move this shape kind of 2 frets down. I have the same thing, just playing the same riff. So just sounds a little bit meatier with the D on the bottom. Now, a couple of little tips and tricks and things that I've picked up. Here's a nice one. I think Victor Wooten kind of uses these things to quite a good effect, really. And Marcus Miller, these little kind of hammered notes. All I'm doing here is hammering the note with my finger. Just making a real short note. And I'm pulling the top note, so we end up with this. So, dead note, pull up, and then a hammer down. Makes for quite a funky sound. Country and Western vibe, I think that's the hammering from the 4th fret onto your G, 5th fret, pulling the top string. Same principle. It's all about dead notes and creating rhythms. Octave slaps. Very simple stuff. Hammering with the bottom note. more kind of closed slap stuff. Good thing about these kind of sounds is that you want to get everything sounding as clean as possible, and that's where good right hand comes in. A good hammered hit here accurately. I often find when I'm playing closed slap stuff where I'm not using open strings so much, my thumb does come around for this stuff because sometimes I find it useful to mute the E string with. So it's incorporating all of these factors, really. So as you can see, my hand kind of works across. I've got muting from here, muting from my thumb. This hand's muting. Short notes, this one's lifting off the notes. It all boils down to just good muting technique. Often when you slow these slap styles down, they are just noises. It's when they're actually brought up to speed and played with the drum machine, they actually start to make some good sense. Also, other nice little factors is bent notes. A pulled bent note. Hammer-on notes, where you're hammering on single note. Kind of guitar technique. A guy to watch out on and to check out for this style is a chap called Marcus Miller, who does this stuff absolutely fantastically, where he ends up playing a lot of melodies on the bass, just using this kind of pulled style, which sounds fantastic. So have a listen to some of these guys. One of the things I suggest is good listening. I find some great slap bass players and have a good listen to them, because you are what you eat in this business. If you get better people you can listen to, and the more inspiration you get, the more likely you're to practice and emulate them and come up with your own thing. So hopefully this style has, or this overview has given you a bit more insight into what's happening on slap bass. So enjoy, and I'll see you on the next web lesson.